I am contractually required to ask you a Caitlin Clark question. It is. It's literally in our contract. But let's talk honestly on-court performance here. She's the two-time Eastern Conference Player of the Week. What has she discovered that has allowed her to level up her game over the last couple of weeks?
I think there's a few things. I do not think we can over discuss the fact that she's actually healthy, like fully healthy. It seems like she feels fully healthy. She's gotten over kind of the mental hurdle of coming back from these soft tissue injuries. And it was only 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm not looking at the calendar, but she was on minutes restrictions coming back from that back injury. When you're a player like Caitlin Clark, you want to get into the rhythm of the game. That's what she does. I've always said since Iowa, if she hits an early deep three-pointer, it's going to be a long night because she's feeling it and she's feeling good. I also think if you look at the team collectively, they're playing strong around her. They have the league's best offense. That's never been a problem. You have teams, players finishing plays alongside her. And I don't think we can talk enough about the fact that her missing last year meant that the chemistry is a little behind. And third, her mid-range game is not talked about enough. We always talk about the logo threes, if she's being efficient there or not. She's getting to the mid-range a lot and doing well at it. It seems like things are finally clicking and she's gotten over the issues that she's had with injuries recently.
Let's not let the narratives that have been created about Caitlin Clark overshadow the actual on-the-court production from Caitlin Clark. But now that Caitlin Clark is healthy, if she can stay healthy, we'll keep all of our fingers crossed for the rest of the season and into the postseason. What does that mean for the Fever ceiling?
It's finals. It's a championship. That's their ceiling with this team. Now, obviously, the drawback is the defense, and we saw that a little bit against the Lynx on Sunday in what was an incredibly good game. But the Lynx have led the league this year. We're going to talk about them a little later, but Indiana was right in there with them. There were a few miscues. Aaliyah Boston takes and makes that three-pointer. Maybe we're looking at a different result, but they can win a championship this year. They tighten up a little bit on the defensive side of the ball, or at least have some solid defensive stops and kills at the right time.
This is the time of the season where everybody is getting in position to make their playoff run. And if you're going to make that playoff run, you've really got to start stacking up wins. Who is a team that's kind of on the fringe, on the outside looking in right now that you think could make a run for that playoff slot and maybe surprise some people?
Well, everyone's talking about the Mercury. Obviously, they just add Kelsey Plum. And I think the whole Kelsey Plum of it, the fit has never been a question. It's literally, can they make up enough ground? That's the obvious one. I'm going to throw out a different one. No one roll your eyes. What about Chicago? They have a net rating of -2. That's in 8th place. They've been tight with some teams. I'm just saying, if we're going to maybe go bold, maybe the Sky can make a little noise. Courtney Vandersloot looks like her old self coming off an ACL. If Sydney Taylor is not injured, maybe they can slide up. That said, I think the top 8 is the top 8 and they're going to move within each other, but that's probably it.
With that being said, about the Mercury, everybody, like you said, it's the team that everyone is pointing to as, if anyone, it could be them making that push for the postseason. You don't trade for Kelsey Plum on an expiring contract if you don't think that you can make that push for the postseason. Do you think they can? And we'll also discuss on Hoops 360. So this is just a little bit of an appetizer. You can find that on the Yahoo Sports YouTube page and your preferred podcast platform. Thank you very much. Do you think Kelsey Plum can be the difference for the Phoenix Mercury?
Yes, absolutely. And we saw that in the first game. Anytime you add Kelsey Plum, you're automatically a better team. I think also underrated about Kelsey Plum, the Nick Uren talked about, the general manager, is her leadership. She has incredible leadership. She has an incredible story in this league. She's won 2 championships already on the team that everyone is chasing, the Aces. She brings a lot in that way. I just don't know that the maths the correct way for Phoenix to make the playoffs. Like, they are going to need a lot of help. I think right now they have 5.5 games to make up with like 12 games left. There's just not a lot of room for error. And I think that's why a lot of us are saying, can they? Yes. Will they? Probably not.
Now, anytime a head coach joins a team, there's going to be a spotlight on that coach. And when that team is in New York, the spotlight is about 10 times brighter. We're looking at the New York Liberty. We're looking at Chris DeMarco, first year as head coach there. The Liberty stood pat at the deadline. There are questions about how DeMarco is using Sabrina Ionescu. What is your take? Give us your kind of overall take on his tenure to date and the state of the Liberty at this moment.
It's been rocky, absolutely rocky. You mentioned that they stayed pat at the deadline. You have Benijah Laney Hamilton, who is, yes, coming off injury, but was a massive part of that first year of the super team and then the championship team. And so to see her have all these did not plays is honestly very confusing. There's not a lot of clarity there. Chris DeMarco has played with a lot of lineups out of necessity. He's had 13 different starting lineups due to injuries, but also seems to be playing with them in the game. At this point, you can't do that anymore. Now, that said, the Liberty are on a little bit of a winning streak. They do look better coming out of the break. You mentioned Sabrina Ionescu. I did not think she took enough shot attempts against the Aces, and she always plays well against the Aces, so that was disappointing. But for a first year in New York, it's been a rocky road, and certainly we can't ignore the fact that there have been a lot of injuries that Chris has had to deal with. That includes Leonie Fibic. Sabrina was gone for a little bit. It's just been another iffy year for New York.
Satu Sabli has been dealing with concussions. It's something that plagued them last year as well. They've just been bitten by the injury bug. Is it just injury, or is there something else there in New York that you have diagnosed as the reason why they are in that 8th spot now in the standings?
Well, I think if you can wave a wand to get Leonie Fibic back, that solves a lot of your problems. Obviously, we're not only talking about injuries. I think anytime you have a first-time head coach, like he's never been a head coach before, he's not used to the WNBA, there's going to be some trials and tribulations. I think what's interesting about New York, too, is these three, Sabrina, JJ, and Stewie, have been playing together for 3 years now, 4 years now. And I don't think any of us have felt like they've truly lived up to their potential playing alongside each other. And now acknowledging that they made the finals and then won a championship, but it just never feels like they've hit their ceiling, and they still haven't hit their ceiling. We'll see if they can in the second half and make some noise in the playoffs, because all you have to do is get in.
Now, we've talked earlier about spectacular team names. Here's another one. Golden State Valkyries. Love that name. Love it name. And not only that, they're playing well. They're keeping pace with the Lynx, the Aces. How are they so good? So in addition to having just an absolutely kick-ass name, how are they playing so well this early in their tenure?
I think it's the name. Just the name has helped them completely. No, I mean, first and foremost, you bring in a good head coach. Natalie Nakase was on those Aces teams, won championships, kind of, I think, waited for a good opportunity and had one. And Becky Hammon told her, like, this is a good opportunity. I think you have a team of 6 players who played a certain role on other teams. And we've heard this in Portland with the Fire, how when you bring those players together, there's an immediate chemistry. There's a hunger there. They want this really badly. You add Gabby Williams, who fits into the system perfectly. You don't have to change things around. She's going to help your defense. The defense is really good and keeps you in games. But I also think it's what the Valkyries have done outside of it. They have supported their players in ways that we have historically not seen in the W. And we see that in Las Vegas, New York, Indiana is on the come up. You know, they are supporting their players in ways that, for example, the NBA has done for a long time. But the Valkyries are coming in doing that immediately. And I do think that goes a long way to help players just focus on the basketball, key into what they're doing, and play Natalie Nakase's way and make a lot of noise. They also were very clear from the beginning. They won a championship in 5 years. So we're in year 2.
I thought I won a championship in 5 years was an awfully lofty expectation.
I remember.
You look at the Valkyries making the postseason, first time ever, an inaugural, or a team, and its inaugural season made the postseason. You look at the Valkyries now, a top 3 team in the league, might not be as lofty as maybe we all initially thought. You bring up Natalie Nakase, coach of the year last year, want to transition to another great head coach, and that is Cheryl Reeve in Minnesota. The Lynx have a comfortable lead in the entire WNBA, but they also have the toughest remaining schedule in the league. How can they, in your opinion, Cass, hold on to that top spot, even with the absolute gauntlet that they have upcoming?
They have kind of a cheat code a little bit because Nafisa Collier is back. It's the most interesting thing that they succeeded the way that they did in the first half without Fee. And you and I have talked about this extensively. The most surprising team given that. Now, you have feedback, you have some things to tweak. It's clear that you are still the best team, and we never count out Cheryl Reeve. But these are going to be very important games. They have 2 against Las Vegas, 2 against the Valkyries, 2 against the Fever. And we just saw on Sunday the margin is very small. Kelsey Plum talked about this. The margins this year are very small. So they have to be able to win games late with this cheat code of adding Fee back in, having the bench depth. I think they can, but I don't know that the gap is going to be as large and widen as much as people think it will, because they do have some of the toughest teams left on the schedule.